welcome. This is Straight Up Predator. Look out, yo. This is part 2 of chapter 4 on socialization. See what we can get through here, and I think there'll be a part 3 as well. But let's look at George Herbert Mead. Mead is a really important figure in sociology, 1863 to 1931, and Mead is really looking at how social experience develops a person's personality. Now, some of the ways that the book is going to look at are like maturational stages and ages and things like that, but Mead is going to talk about the self, and he developed the theory of social behaviorism. Good test question, but more importantly, he gets to this idea that the self is a part of an individual's personality composed of self-awareness and self-image, right? So Mead proposed seeing the self as the product of social experience. So we're not necessarily born with a sense of ourself, right? We have that, and we build that as we live and as we grow, right? So Mead proposed seeing the self as the product of social experience. It only then, therefore, develops with social experience, okay? That idea of who we are, what our self is. And so he's going to say, he's going to reject that idea that it's guided by biology or biological drives, Freud, or biological maturation stages, like I mentioned, and is going to say the self only develops as the individual interacts with others, right? Without interaction, maybe your body grows, but no actual self, as he's defining it, emerges, as we see in those cases of childhood isolation that we talked about. So this is where we get into that Jedi stuff, right? Understanding intention requires imagining a situation from the other's point of view, okay? So all symbolic interaction involves seeing ourselves as others see us, right? So we take the role of somebody else. We try and anticipate how others will respond to us before we even act. That's called taking the role of the other. I mean, how many of us, right, imagining things from another point of view? You walk in the house, let's say mom and dad, or your aunt and your uncle, your grandparents, whoever it is at home, and you know within 3 seconds, you've got to ask one of them, mom or dad, for something that you want. You get in the house, you spend about 2 or 3 seconds around dad, 2 or 3 seconds around mom. How many of you out there, raise your hand, know exactly who to go to in that short a time if you want something? I mean, we all do. And that's really that idea of imagining the situation from their point of view. We've got to anticipate how not just our parents, but people are going to respond before we even act. That way, and because of that, that influences whether or not we even do those things. Maybe we're not going to wear that. Maybe we're not going to say that thing that we were just going to blurt out, because then we have an idea that within this group of people, that's not going to be acceptable, right? So we're anticipating what others think. So we're going to do this with a cell phone, though, right? Let me kind of explain this, and then I'll tell you what to do. So Mead, the I, okay? When we talk about the self, we're going to break it down into I and the me. Then that's the impulse to act, the creative, innovative, unpredictable. I'm just going to do it. And really, Mead is saying that we're only briefly at the I, like now we're gone. We're in the I, now we're gone, right? And we're only aware of it as it passes into the me. And the me stage is like we see ourselves as others see us. Because like, honestly, like you could come out of the shower, you get dressed, you think you look great, and then you run into somebody and they say something and you're like, whoa. Or you don't even think about it because you're not around anybody all day. And then you finally see somebody and you're like, oh, you start to think of how you're dressed or what you're wearing, or does it look right, or does that seem right? That's that idea, right? We're using social convention, conformity, and to Mead, we're mostly in the me. Okay, so the me controls the I. Like, what will people think is almost the initial thing, right? And that's that role taking, the ability to take the role of others. And we can even answer that question, right? What they will think. So take your phone and turn it on, get the camera ready, and I want you to take a selfie. Okay, so I'm going to take a selfie here in front of you. Turn around camera. Nope. The lighting's not quite. Ooh, that's pretty good. Well, oh, did I do the duck lips? I think I did. Anyway, okay, take a picture of yourself and then take that phone and hand it to somebody and show them. Wait, whoa, right? Okay, so how many of us take selfie after selfie, even if it's 2 or 3 or 4, let alone 10, to get the right picture. But is that the right picture to us? Mead is going to say no, right? Like the second you take that picture or you start to take it, sure. If you don't think anybody's going to see it, boom. But most of the time we think somebody's going to see a selfie. Usually we post it or we send it to somebody. So in the middle of taking that picture, we're getting a different angle. We're seeing if we look good. We maybe do something with our face or our mouth, something that maybe might not quite be natural. And then we got that picture. Now send it to somebody else. Well, wait a second. You didn't tell me that right away. Now we're really thinking about things from the other person. So the I, who took that picture? I did. You did. That's what you should say, right? I took that picture. Really? Right. But the me or the self is the one in regard to whom the I acted. So the I, you were the doer of the action. You took the picture. That's the active phase of the self. But then all of a sudden it's the self. And the selfie represents what other people see, right? Students looking at your images and your attitudes towards your images, right? Illustrate that generalized other, that other person, the other taking the role of the other. So everything in Mead starts with this. You see yourself first, but then instantly your brain realizes that's what other people see. I mean, that's why, and it's weird. Selfies are weird, right? Because 20, 30, 40 years ago, you had a camera, you had to pay for film. You wouldn't have paid for a film of a roll of 20 different shots of your face in different ways. You just wouldn't have done that. But now we have even more time for that me to be like, well, what will people think about this? And sometimes it's just in that second and we adjust and it's good. And sometimes it might even be like, wait a second, got to put on a mask because now I'm around people and I want to look responsible. Like you weren't even wearing it a couple seconds ago, but how will that look to others? Ah, good boy. Go get me a beer. That cat is definitely not going to get you anything out of the refrigerator. Doesn't look like he's moved off that couch in years. Good for him. But when we start to talk about learning and reward and punishment, Mead is going to say that social experience is the exchange of symbols. And only humans, only people use words, the wave of a hand, or a smile to create meaning, right? With a dog or with animals, you've got this reward and punishment thing. And we were talking before with Watson about that. But if I teach my dog Huckle, that's not my dog, but if I teach my dog Huckle to go get a beer and I tell him to get to the fridge and pull the towel and it opens the door and the beers are where he can reach them and he can get him and bring it to me, that is amazing. He doesn't attach any meaning to it. I mean, he's smart and he's going to do it for me and hope he's a good boy, right? But Huckle's not going to go to that refrigerator, open it up, and there's no beer, and he's not going to stand there and be like, well, I think Jason likes whiskey, so I'm going to go to the cupboard and get a mixer, and I'm going to get the whip. No, right? That's like finding meaning in that. Like I just taught you what to do, reward, punishment. You got me the beer, good boy. But humans find meaning in action by imagining other people's intentions. I mean, the dog is just responding to what you do. But a human being is going to have in mind, right, what you have in mind as you do it. So we're trying to figure out what these people think of for how they view us, so then we make sure that the way that we present ourselves is how those people would see us, and then make sure that the way that they see us is the way that we want us to be seen. I cannot say that again, but you get the idea. We are not as free to do what we think we can do at every moment because we are consistently, particularly according to Mead and in sociology in general, looking at and measuring ourselves by and through others. How will they act? How will they think? What will they think of me? Will they think this is a good picture? Will they not? Will they see me as attractive or funny or responsible or whatever that might be? So by taking the role of other, we become self-aware, right? So there's that two parts to the self, the I and the me. So active and spontaneous, just like that, I. And then the me, the way we imagine others see us. So we initiate that action and we do it, but then we almost immediately evaluate that action based on how others see us. And that's not even how others see us for sure. That's just how we think others see us. So anyway, do dogs or other animals have a sense of self? Why or why not? And more importantly, what's that role in other people in developing our sense of self? Final thought, as life goes forward, the self continues to change along with our social experiences. So no matter how the world shapes us, we always remain creative and able to react in the world around us. So it's not just saying that other people determine all that. We do therefore play a key role in our socialization. But because we are social creatures, that does not happen in a vacuum, and it does not happen by ourselves. All right, good term for you to know for the exam, looking glass self. So others are a mirror in which we see ourselves. That's what I was just saying. What we think of ourselves depend on how we think others see us. And then, of course, if we think others see us as sexy, we might think of it in the same way. If we think that other people see us as clever or the class clown or whatever that might be, right? You're in school, you're young, you act up and say something rude, the class laughs. Then you're like, I could do that. I like that. That worked out for me. And then you kind of get into that mode. I mean, that might be the wrong thing. But if we think other people see us that way, and that's a positive thing, at least for us, even if it could be negative, that's important to us. So a looking glass self, right? A self-image based on how we think others see us. And of course, there's a lot of back and forth with the notion of a looking glass self. And that is attributed to Charles Horton Cooley, different than George Herbert Mead's idea of the self, the I, and the me. All right. I think I'm going to just add this in this video, and we'll go right on through here. So, all right, we'll pick up here next time. Remember, be good people, do good things. Cha, cha, cha. That's right. Be good people, do good things. Cha, cha, cha. Cha, cha, cha. you.